Hi, welcome to the very first episode of Divorce the Next Chapter, my new podcast. My name is Gianna Teglinetti. I'm a nurse. You may or may not have seen me on social media before, but I'm starting a new podcast because my mission is to help women and other people like you to pick up the pieces after divorce and find yourself through different tips and tools that you could use to help you overcome and become the best version of yourself. So I'm going to give you a little history about myself. My name is Jana, I said. I'm a nurse. I'm a single mom. I have two daughters, and I'm a survivor of a narcissistic marriage. Now, when I say narcissistic, there's a lot of buzz and a lot of, I feel like, incorrect information calling their partners narcissists. Now, I'm not calling my partner a narcissist because it's a buzzword. I'm calling him a narcissist because he's undiagnosed. And I went through years of trauma and I didn't realize it. I had no idea that what I was going through was actually more common than I thought. And I'm here to tell you that no, you're not crazy. There are other women and other people that go through the same, and you don't really realize it when it happens, when it's happening to you. I did not know that I was in this narcissistic abusive marriage until pretty much close to the end, and even afterwards, when I started to really learn about what it was, and that the things that I was going through, I didn't know at the time, but they were classic. They were classic textbook symptoms of a narcissist. So we've been together, we were together for almost 20 years. And when I started my journey in life, all the way back to the 90s, I was in college and I was lost. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to do something in the sciences because that's what I was good at, but I really didn't know what I wanted to do for a career. I had failed out of school. I got back in, but I failed out of school. I was just not on the right path. And sometimes now I realize when you're not on the right path, the universe bucks you. And you keep trying and the universe bucks you, and it's trying to get you to turn into a different way. So back in the 90s, I was working in the city, and my cousin at the time had said, hey, I want you to read this book. And it was a book by Louise Hay called You Can Heal Your Life. So being I was taking the ferry back and forth from Staten Island to New York City, that's what you did. It was way before cell phones and videos and everything like that. Everybody had their book, and I read the book. I had no idea what I was getting into. I had no idea what it was about. And it turns out that I believe Louise Hay is the founder of the manifestation movement. She called it visualization, and everything was the power of your mind. So I read this book and I started implementing the techniques and the affirmations and everything that she was saying in this book to follow. I was all in. And I started to get what I was manifesting. I started to get everything that I was visualizing was coming true. So I visualized getting into nursing school, came true. I visualized the boyfriends. I visualized everything in that time period, and it all came true. So now I got into nursing school. I do great in nursing school, Dean's List, the whole thing, passed my boards in the first shot, and I manifest having a boyfriend. And here he comes. And at first, it was amazing. It was everything that I had wanted. All of my other friends coming out of college either had boyfriends, they were getting married, some of them got married and divorced and then married again. And I was at that time in my life where I wanted that. It was that. So I got the boyfriend. We moved out. We got an apartment together. And now looking back on it, I realized that the things that he was telling me about his life were true. Not that they weren't true. It's that it was from his perspective. So fast forward, I'm now a nurse. He loses his first job. I get my per diem job because all my friends are getting married, and either I was in their bridal party or I was invited to the wedding, and I needed money for the dress and for the gift and for everything, right? So I started my first per diem job. He loses his first job right after we moved out. Okay, he gets another job. I get pregnant. He loses another job. I have my first daughter in 2003. We move into a townhouse. He has a job, and that job is probably the longest job that he had. It lasted, I think, 9 years. So now I have my daughter. I'm still working per diem. I'm still working a full-time job, and everything was okay for the first 5, 8 years of our relationship. And it really didn't start to turn until his mom retired from her job and moved back to Belize. They were building a house in Belize, and her husband, their plan was to retire and to move back to Belize and enjoy their retirement in Belize. That's where they're originally from. So until that happened, and when that happened, is when I became the scapegoat. And I didn't realize that until way later. Things just very slowly started to fall apart. And he just went through job after job after job. And I was always the provider. I was always the one who paid the bills. I was the one who took care of the kids. I'm the one who organized, and did not realize it, but I was being groomed to be hyper independent. So let's fast forward to the end of our relationship. Now we have 2 kids. My mom has passed away. She got very sick. She had cancer. She had breast cancer when she was 43 years old. I was in college, and that was also the time that I failed out of school. And she was great. For almost 20 years, she was fantastic. She had gone through chemo, she had gone through reconstructive surgery, the whole business, okay? It was very different back then for breast cancer than it is now. And around, I don't know, it was probably like 2014, she started saying to me, I don't know, I feel kind of, my bra is kind of tight, like I feel uncomfortable, like something's wrong. So she had gone to her primary care doctor, and they did a sonogram thinking that it was gallstones, thinking that she had a gallbladder problem. And they found a tumor in her liver. The tumor was 8 centimeters. So that's like the size of your finger almost, right? 8 centimeters, huge, a huge tumor. After testing and after all of doctors and all of this stuff, she was having her biopsy in the hospital that I was a manager in. I had become a manager of a pre-op and post-op care unit, and she was having her biopsy where I was. So it's the day of the biopsy, I'm working, and the pathologist calls me and says, you gotta come down here and look at these slides. Okay, so I go downstairs, I'm with the pathologist. He was so nice, and he's like, I don't know, it might be this, it might be that, like thinking of all these different kind of liver cancers that are super duper rare. And I looked at him and I said, you do know that she had breast cancer when she was 43, right? And he goes, no. Sure enough, it was breast cancer. It had laid dormant in her liver, and that's where it came back almost 20 years later. So that sent us into a spiral. I was dealing with her. I was dealing with him not having a job. I was dealing with my daughter, who is now in 8th grade, picking out high schools, and I had a toddler. It was a very difficult period of my life. She battled for 3 years. She passed away in 2016, and that sent me into a complete fog. A complete fog is the best way I could describe it. And it was rough. So after she had passed away, it was 2016, and for the next year and a half, I was just like a zombie, just going through the motions. I don't even remember half the things that probably happened during that period of time, and my marriage was crumbling. My marriage was crumbling. He was just going through job after job, not working, I'm working. There's a lot more details that I'll go into detail in different podcasts, but it was a very difficult period of time. And then March-ish, 2018, I had a very bizarre light bulb moment. And I say bizarre because it came from a place that a light bulb moment probably wouldn't have come from. And I had filed my taxes. My accountant I had known for like 20 years. I had been using him for a very, very long time. And you become friends with someone after using them for such a long time. And it's very bizarre how you can look at somebody's life through their finances and pieces of paper, but he could. And he was a very down-to-earth guy. He's great. He's wonderful. And I go to him to sign everything because we're at the point where I was just dropping stuff off and then going to sign it. And he looks at me and he goes, "What the fuck are you doing?" I said, "What?" He goes, "What the fuck are you doing? You just handed me your taxes. You have one W-2 and a second W-2 for per diem stuff. At the time, I wasn't working per diem. He said, you have a one W-2. You've had this job for years. You don't switch jobs because you get, because you switch jobs basically to better your career." He had like 7 W-2s in 1 year. He's like, "What are you doing? He doesn't make enough money. You're carrying everything. You're basically killing yourself." And I was so taken back because it was right. He was right. He was absolutely 100% right. And it's not that I wasn't thinking about it, but I was in such grief from my mom passing away and everything that had happened with those years, because it wasn't just my mom. For like 5 years, there was a very bad death and dying period of my life. I was pregnant with my second daughter. I had given birth, and she was born Memorial Day weekend. And that summer started a 5-year period of death and dying and illness of people that were very close to me. My father's mother fell. She was 91 or 92 at the time. She fell, she broke her hip, and within like 2 weeks, she passed away. I was on maternity leave at her funeral, pumping. It was just a mess. After that, my uncle, my godfather, had no idea that why he was coughing, thought it was upper respiratory. Turned out to be a inoperable tumor, which was lung cancer, and he within 6 months passed away. I was very close to him. My best girlfriend, who is alive and well and doing very well, wound up with a very rare form of cancer, chondrosarcoma, a butterfly tumor in her nasal passages, and she went through hell. My other grandma, my mom's mom, who was 100 when she passed away, I was very close to her. She wound up passing away just from old age, and that was devastating. My mom had been sick through this whole time. He had been through job after job after job through this whole time. It was just a very difficult period of life. So now fast forward back to March of 2018, I filed my taxes, and my accountant was like, "What are you doing? Like, what are you doing?" And that was my first light bulb moment. The next morning, I got up and looked myself in the mirror and said, "What are you doing? What are you doing? If you don't break the cycle, no one is going to break the cycle for you." And it's not that I wasn't asking for help. I asked plenty of people for help. And when you ask for help in that kind of a situation, there's only minimal things that people are willing to do. And because nobody really knew what was happening in my marriage, they only saw it from the outside, it was kind of difficult to ask for help. There was one person that I finally reached out to and said to him, he was my ex's best friend, I said to him, "I need help." And his response was, I've been waiting for you to call me. What took you so long?" So there was very minimal people who were helping me because there was only so much that could be done. The only person that really could change the trajectory of my life was me. So in that March of 2018, I woke up and I was like, what are you doing? I was doing a side hustle at the time. Around the same time, I had signed up. It was a makeup company, and I was like, you know what? I could do this on the side, and I could make some extra money to pay for my kids' activities, to pay for gas in my car, to pay for groceries, to pay for the things that my paycheck wasn't covering, because he wasn't working. And even when he was working, he wasn't contributing. He didn't contribute to the mortgage. He didn't contribute to the house bills, the utilities, the cell phone, the grocery bills. He thought that going to Costco and buying toilet paper and paper towel was like enough. Meanwhile, his Costco bill was like $400 because it was toilet paper, paper towels, and a whole bunch of stuff that you couldn't make dinner with. You know what I'm saying? So, oddly enough, through doing that makeup company, I started to gain confidence back. And there are some videos on my Facebook of me back in 2018, and you could see it. You could see the defeat in my eyes, at least I can. And that's where I met certain people that are in my life that I am forever grateful for. So I started doing that. And in that period, when I had that light bulb moment, I said, okay, I am going to give this a last ditch effort, because it wasn't like I wasn't giving it any effort. I had gone to therapy. I had got us into couples therapy. I had did all of these things. I forever would speak, and everything would always turn into an argument. Everything would always be turned around against me. Well, if I did this, if you did that, and blah, 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 blah. It wasn't me. And I didn't realize it at the time, but that's like classic narcissist playbook. So it's not like I hadn't tried. I had tried for years and years and years. And no matter what I did, it was always my fault. So I had given myself a timeline in that March, and I said, all right, if things do not drastically change by Labor Day, then I'm filing for divorce. So that summer happens, and every July, my older daughter, is a bowler, and she bowls competitively. And I know a lot of people don't know about this, but there is a huge college bowling scene. And at the time, she was young, and I was taking her to tournaments, and she's very talented. So I was fostering that talent, and I knew that she could get a college scholarship through her bowling talent. And every year was this huge national, it's actually going on right now, national tournament called Junior Gold. And every year it was in a different city. So this particular year, I believe it was either in Dallas or in Cleveland. And we go to the tournament, and we come home. I'm pretty sure it was Dallas. We come home, and he hadn't come with us. He was supposed to get some things done, and he was going to paint the house, and he was going to, not that our house was very big. I had an 1,100 square foot ranch that the basement was not done. So we basically lived in a 3-bedroom apartment, but it was a house. So it was the living room, a very small area of the kitchen, and the hallway that needed to be repainted. And he was going to do that, and we were gone for like 10 days. So I get home, and the fixtures are off the walls. Everything is taped. The baseboards are taped. Everything is taped, and that's it. Nothing was done. The house was a disaster. It smelled like a frat house. It was disgusting. Piles of dirty dishes in the sink. There was stuff all over the place. And mind you, I had to go to work the next day. Okay? And these tournaments, you go to these places, it's exhausting. It's not, if you've ever been on any kind of travel sport team, you can identify with this, okay? It is not vacation at all by any means. It's exhausting. And now here I come with 2 kids, and the house is a disaster. And I started saying, like, what are you doing? Mind you, he was posting, going out with, with his friends and all this different stuff. So I know he had time. It's not like he didn't have time. And I was just like saying, like, what did you do? Like, and I wasn't yelling, and I wasn't arguing. It was just very matter-of-factly. And after that, so that was July, this week actually, back then, that was July, he gave me the silent treatment for 2.5 months. For 2.5 months, I did not exist. I carried on. I took care of the kids. I did everything that I was normally doing. I was going to work. I was doing everything. He literally did not speak to me for that period of time. And I have to say, as difficult as that time period was, that was absolutely the best thing he ever did for me, because all the noise was gone. Everything was gone. It was quiet. My brain was quiet for the first time in I didn't know how long. And that was really the period of time where I made my decision. So now fast forward, it was August. It was like the week before Labor Day weekends, and my cousin's getting married. And she had gotten married in Seattle and then had a ceremony here for everybody in New York. And we all go, okay? We go, and my cousin, the same one who gave me the book, who's basically my best friend, offers to take my older daughter for Labor Day weekend. She lived down at the shore, and she said, let Maya come with me, my older daughter, and just have a weekend, and that way, you could just take care of your younger daughter, Simone, and whatever. So I said, okay. So for Labor Day weekend, Maya goes down to my cousin's house, and it was only a couple of days, and I meet her halfway to pick her up, and after I picked Maya up, later on that night, I called, and I said, so how did it go? And she's like, listen, all I said to her was, how's it going? And she unloaded on me. She unloaded. All mommy does is work. He just lays on the couch and sleeps. He does nothing. He da-da-da-da. And basically told her, from my daughter's eyes, from my daughter's perspective, everything that had been going on. And that was it. That was the straw. I could not allow my daughters to grow up in an environment like that, so toxic, because that's not what love is. That's not how it's supposed to be. And I did not want them to grow up thinking and developing in that environment. And that was it. I told them I wanted a divorce, and here I am. So that is a very, very small snippet of what I've been through to get myself here. And I have done a tremendous amount of healing. So now back to where I said, when I signed up for this makeup company, I had started doing this and gaining confidence, but I met someone who, her name is Karen Medeiros, who reminded me about manifestation, visualization, mindset. And without knowing it, I had already started muscle memory, tapping into what I had learned all those years before. And she reminded me about it, and through different things, I started. And that's really where I started. After that light bulb moment that I said to myself in the mirror, what are you doing? I started my affirmations. I started saying to myself, I am worthy. And little by little, my confidence came back. I started to recognize myself, and I started my healing journey. So that is what Divorce the Next Chapter is going to be about. It is about helping you on your healing journey, whatever that may look like for yourself. I'm going to tell you the techniques, the tips, the tools that I have used, and back it up with evidence and how you can help yourself. Because right now I know you don't recognize yourself in the mirror. You forgot what you were, because that's how I was. I forgot who I was, not because it was conscious, because all of those years of going through what I went through, my identity was erased. And even now, learning about narcissist behavior, it was all calculated. It was all calculated, not by me, by him. It was a calculated effort. Becoming hyper independent was forced. Doing all the things that I was doing because there was nobody else to do them was by design. And through Divorce the Next Chapter, I want to tell you, I want to show you, I want you to realize that you're not alone. You're not alone. And all of it can be healed. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go step by step into the healing process and how you could start healing yourself and what that next chapter is going to look like. So I'm really excited to bring this to you. This is a project I've wanted to do for a very, very long time, and it's finally time. So join me. I'll be dropping a podcast every week, and we're going to go through things. So if there's a topic that you want to delve into, please put it in the comments, okay? Please like, please share, please comment on this video. It all helps me in my algorithm. And if you're watching this on a reel, my podcast, the full episode, will be up on my YouTube channel, and the link is in my bio, okay? So I hope everybody has a fantastic week. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you for joining me. This is going to be an amazing ride.